and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a body language assessment of Prince Harry and Prince William from the funeral of their granddad, Prince Philip. So today has been an extremely sad day here in England as Prince Philip, the husband of our Queen Elizabeth, was sadly laid to rest. He passed away last week and he was 99 years old, and it was an extremely sad day. What is most interesting to a lot of people here in the UK is that Prince Harry is home for the first time in quite a while. Obviously, he's been living in America with his wife Meghan, and it was interesting to see the dynamic of the two brothers finally back together again. So the first thing I've got to say that I noticed before even seeing Prince William and Prince Harry was how distraught their father, Prince Charles, looked. He was visibly upset, and it was extremely distressing to see how upset he was. He was obviously extremely close to his dad. It was extremely sad to see the Queen sitting by herself. That was really sad to see because of COVID restrictions. Only 30 people could be at the funeral, and had COVID not have happened, there should have been 800 mourners. Now, there was quite a lot of speculation that Prince Harry and Prince William weren't going to walk alongside or exactly next to each other, obviously with some distancing because of COVID restrictions. Their cousin was in between them, which kept some distance between them, which a lot of people think was done on purpose and arranged by the Queen to stop any tensions between the brothers bubbling up in the procession of the funeral, and that was why someone was put in the middle of them to keep them further apart. Obviously, it's a funeral. Any problems that they have as brothers was put to one side, and everyone was hoping in the lead up to the funeral that any issues that they have been having over the past couple of years could be put to one side so that it could be a respectful day for their granddad. Now, the first time you see William and Harry on the day, on the footage on the television of them at the funeral, they are stood behind their father and their uncles and their aunt. And as I said, Harry is here and William is here. If you're looking at the TV screen, William on the left, Harry on the right, and in between them is their cousin. All the way from where they set off to getting to the church door, they don't really look at each other, although you can almost see Harry glancing across at William once, but William does not look across at Harry at all. They both look very upset. But I will say, I believe, in my opinion, just my opinion, guys, that Harry looked visibly more upset than William. But because William is set to be our future king, he's been trained, and so is Harry, to not show emotion. But as Harry is sort of not really fully part of the royal family anymore, and because he's more in this century, I will say, in my opinion, he's very upfront with his emotions now, and you could see he was visibly more upset than William. Now, something I just want to say now, I don't mean anyone any offence by this. I know everybody deals with death differently. Everybody grieves differently. Some people are more upset visibly with tears than others, but that doesn't mean they're not upset. So I'm not saying that William wasn't upset, but out of the two brothers, I do feel that Harry looked more upset than William. So as they walk towards the church where the funeral is taking place of their granddad, obviously everybody looks very somber. It was extremely touching to see them all walking together and how well organised it all was. It was all thought out by Prince Philip himself. He'd planned his own funeral, even down to the degree of organising for a specially built car or a Land Rover to be built for his coffin to be carried on, which was extremely lovely to see. So, the first thing that I noticed about Prince William and Prince Harry, body language wise, is they both looked very anxious. Obviously, their world is watching them and it's their grandfather or their granddad's funeral, so they're going to be upset and anxious. But Harry looked visibly more anxious than William, I felt. William kept his cool and kept looking forward, whereas Harry did keep looking off sort of to side. And as I said, I did spot him once looking across at his brother. Harry was often biting his lip like that, which is often done when someone is anxious. He looked like he had a dry mouth, which again I think would be caused by anxiety and stress. And as this, we believe, is the first time that he's come face to face with his brother after the Oprah Winfrey interview that we've all seen, where, you know, a lot of things were said and basically the family rift became bigger, in my opinion, after the Oprah interview. So to have to fly home and face your entire family at such a tragic event of the funeral of your granddad, it must have been extremely hard on Harry. So to fly back home from America, having not been here for almost the last couple of years now, and face your family after giving the Oprah Winfrey interview, where really the rift between you and your family has become bigger, to have to come home and see everybody face to face at a funeral where the world is watching you, must have been extremely difficult for Harry. It must have been extremely difficult for Harry. Don't get me wrong, I felt for everybody on the day watching the funeral. It was extremely sad to see everybody looking so upset, but to see Harry there on the day, especially in the church, sitting on his own, without Meghan, without any sort of support network, I found that really difficult to watch. A couple of other things I noticed about Harry is that he looked very tired. Now, that could be jet lag. I'm not too sure exactly when he arrived home, but I believe he's been home a few days now, so you would imagine that the jet lag may have ceased, but he may not have been sleeping properly, I suspect, in the lead up to the funeral. Obviously, the upset of losing his granddad, but perhaps the worry and the anxiety playing on his mind at night of facing his brother and the Queen. Now, obviously, I could be wrong here, but I do feel that at points Harry looked slightly annoyed. I sort of saw a couple of sort of small expressions of annoyance flash across his face. Now, whether that was because his brother hadn't acknowledged his existence or at least looked across at him to give him a brotherly look of reassurance, perhaps that's why the majority of the time he did look somber and upset. But I did sort of notice a look of annoyance on Harry's face at certain times, which was really sad to see. Now, something I noticed about all of the men following behind the coffin is that all of them had quite tense, closed hands like this. Something I did notice, like I said, is all of them had hands like that, so it may be protocol and something they're told to do. Maybe it's to keep their emotions in. I'm not really sure. It's to maybe look professional, or that's not the right word, is it? To be respectful, perhaps. But Harry's hand seemed a lot more clenched, a lot more tighter than everybody else's, which to me, again, is another sign of stress. Now, out of the two brothers, I would say Harry looked a lot more uncomfortable than William. William seemed quite the professional as always, looking forward, keeping his eyes that way, not looking across to the left to his brother, keeping focused on what the situation was, the funeral of his granddad. And I do feel that William was upset, but it certainly wasn't visibly as obvious as it was in Harry's face and in their father Charles's face. Now, the most interesting bit of body language that I saw from Harry, in my opinion, was as they were walking into the church, they'd already gone up the stairs and they were about to go through the door. He visibly did almost like a full body shake. It was quite weird. It started in the shoulders and sort of went like that, and then his whole body just shuddered. But it was a really quick thing, and if you weren't fully focused on it, I was really focused on it, you could have missed it. It was a really strange thing, and it sort of gave me shivers when I watched it. It sort of went back and it was almost as if, in my opinion, he was preparing himself for what was to come, and it was almost a self-soothing thing for Harry to try and calm his nerves at the thought of what he was about to walk into. Now, I would say that William looked visibly tense as he walked into the church. Obviously, he knew that he was going to be sat opposite Harry and that potentially at points during the service they would look at each other. It was obviously going to be very difficult because it's a funeral. People are upset anyway. But with the ongoing tension with Harry, you could definitely see at this point that William was starting to show emotion in his face and he looked extremely tense. Now, throughout the service, there are songs and hymns sung by choir members. The people that were at the funeral, the royal family and the mourners, were not allowed to sing, and that was due to COVID restrictions. They also had to wear masks throughout the funeral, and that did include the Queen. It was really weird for me as a Brit to see our Queen and the royal family wearing masks. I know that we all have to, but that was really weird. So it was quite hard to read everybody's body language within the church because of the masks, and not only that, their faces were not shown much on the television because of the funeral, and that people were focusing on the fact that it was Philip's funeral, which obviously is a good thing. So the only time the body language really could be read is in the walk up to the church and then when they leave the church. So they get up to leave the church, and what was quite lovely, well, heartwarming to see, was that Harry walked up behind William and Kate and chose to engage in conversation. What was strange, and I did notice though, is even though he initiated the conversation, when Kate looked across to him and responded, Harry sort of looked straight through her and almost past her, and it from the angle I could see it, didn't really look like he was looking at her eye to eye. It looked like he was talking to her, but looking straight past her, which was weird. Now, William was part of this conversation after a couple of seconds of Harry and Kate talking, but it looked very forced, but it was nice to see, but you could tell there were still tensions there for sure. So the brothers exit the church, obviously still looking very distraught because of the death of their granddad, Prince Philip. But what was lovely to see is that Kate, William and Harry all start to walk up the road somberly together. In my opinion, my overall opinion of the boys, or they're not boys, I still look at them as boys, but the brothers' body language is that William definitely keeps his much more in. He's definitely not such an expressive person with his emotions, and he's harder to read, whereas Harry is not so much because he gives his emotions away, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and I feel that he was extremely upset about his granddad's death, but he was extremely anxious and nervous and stressed at seeing his brother and his grandmother, the Queen, and Prince William, his brother, because of all the tension that's been going on in the family within the last couple of years. So something I did notice as the brothers are walking away, especially once Kate has left them to walk by themselves after the service, they look visibly less stressed. Obviously the funeral's over. I know they've still got to go to the wake and there's still proceedings to be followed afterwards, but the main upsetting part of the day is passing, and that would cause stress levels to go down, but they don't look comfortable in each other's company, but they look happy to be talking to each other, I would say. That's perhaps again the not right word, but they look relieved that they're with each other and walking out with each other, so that perhaps, hopefully, fingers crossed, they were able to give each other some sort of level of support on this awful day. So I'm going to do a separate video on the rest of the royal family's body language. I'm not really going to include the Queen in it so much because I don't want to be disrespectful. She just lost her husband. To be honest, you saw very little of the Queen because she didn't walk behind the coffin. You were able to read the body language of the other members of the royal family more easy. But in the other video, I will obviously include Charles, Prince Andrew, Prince Edward, and a couple of other members of the royal family as well. That will come out after this video. But I hope you all enjoyed my views and thoughts on the body language of the brothers, Prince William and Prince Harry. What I really hope from this really sad day here in England is that the brothers could maybe reconcile, patch up their differences, and perhaps one day the royal family could sort of sort their differences out and hopefully all start to get on better and become a more loving family. I really do hope so. Anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Thank you all for your support. Thank you to all my new subscribers. I hope you're enjoying my content. I will have more body language and statement analysis videos coming out soon. And not only that, I will have some more true crime videos very soon. Anyway, guys, I hope you're all well. Take care and stay safe. And I'll be back very soon. Bye for now.